At this point, you've either opened your Etsy shop or you're trying to make a plan of how it's going to go. So you posted a few listings, maybe you've gotten some orders, maybe not, but you've probably figured out that it doesn't stop there, right? So you're like, okay, what do I do now? You may have heard me or other Etsy coaches talking about how you need to post new listings, but why? When? How many? How often? What kind? New listings are very likely going to be a regular part of your operations for the lifetime of your Etsy shop. So learning this now and getting a head start instead of trying to catch up later on will save you a lot of time and a lot of stress. This is episode 13 of my How to Start an Etsy Shop in 2023 series. I will link the entire playlist in the description box, and if you want to go back and check those out after you watch this one, even if you've already started an Etsy shop, I think it'll be helpful. Instead of me giving you a list of things that you should do, it's important to understand why you need to do them. So why do you need to consistently add new listings? In short, it keeps your shop relevant and shows Etsy that you're being active. It gives you more chances to actually be seen on Etsy because it increases your footprint, for lack of a better word. It helps you test different products, so the more listings you have, the more data you can gather about what people are actually liking and buying. And it gives you a lot of practice, so hopefully each listing will be just a little bit better than the last, and after several months to a year, even a couple years, your new listings are going to be way better than your first ones. Now, even if you already have your Etsy shop open, we should go back to the beginning. So how many should you be looking at to start with? There is no set rule or requirement beyond having just one to be able to actually open your shop. I would suggest at least 10, maybe 10 to 20-ish, but more than that's kind of pushing it, and I'll explain why. Any less than that, and it's going to be pretty obvious to a buyer that you're kind of new or maybe not really taking it seriously, because if they find one of your listings in search or gets recommended to them and they go look at your shop to see what else you have, it's going to be empty. And you want to have plenty of things to look at and have all of your shop sections and stuff filled out, because the more time that a buyer spends actually browsing your shop and your listings, the more likely they are to make a purchase. Think about if you're walking down the street and you see a new boutique just opened, so you decide to take a look. You open the door to go in this boutique and you see that they have 10 items on one small shelf in the entire store. That's it. You're done browsing by the time you finished opening the door. That gives you no time to learn about or connect with the people that run the store or anything about the products. You just see them, see that they are not interesting to you, or you don't even know what they are, and so you leave. Now, if you keep walking and see another store and decide to go inside of it, this place has full shelves. There's stuff hanging off the walls, even stuff hanging from the ceiling. There's mannequins. There's so much to look at. You could be there for hours. Then if you do spend hours in there, you're like, well, I might as well buy something because I feel like this is a waste of time otherwise. Obviously, it doesn't exactly work like that on Etsy, but it's the same concept. I notice this myself when I'm shopping on Etsy. I buy fabric and other sewing things a lot on there, and I will literally always, before I check out, go to a shop, see what else they have, so I can save a little bit on shipping and on time. And I don't want to end up ordering several different things in different orders from the same shop, because that's a waste of packaging, or sometimes they have a product that I like better than the one that I was originally going to get. If the shop only has like a dozen listings, I'm probably not going to buy it unless it's like a really amazing thing that's a really great price. And if it's only one item, it's probably not going to qualify for free shipping, so I feel like it's kind of a waste of that shipping cost to just get one thing when I could find a different shop that I could order several things from. Or sometimes I'll find fabric or something else that I'm looking at buying, and I'll go to their shop and they have a lot of listings, but only like one or two fabric items or related items that I would want to purchase, so I just don't buy anything. But if they do have hundreds or even thousands of listings of related items, then I will spend a long time looking through all of them and adding more stuff to my cart. You're absolutely not expected to have like 100 listings right away. I'd actually advise against that, even if you do have the products ready to go. Posting listings too fast could make you look spammy, but the biggest concern with that, with making too many new listings too quickly if you don't know what you're doing, is that, just to be honest, your first listings are going to suck. And if you start off with 100 crappy listings, it's gonna take you a long time later on to fix all of them. And that's going to cost you a lot of money in listing fees and renewal fees because they're not selling. So you want to go slow and steady at a sustainable pace and keep an eye on your stats. So you'll start to see which ones are getting views and favorites and which ones are actually selling, and use that to figure out what makes them different, why those listings are doing better than the other ones. So I said do this at a sustainable pace. Well, what does that mean? This is going to be different for everybody, and it's going to depend on how fast you want to grow, how much time you have to dedicate to it, and how long it takes to make your products. Some people may have no problem doing 1 or even 2 a day if the stuff is really fast to make, but you may only be able to do 1 a week. And make sure that you can be consistent with it, so even if you do have a bunch of products ready and you do 1 per day, you're gonna run out of new products pretty quickly. So make sure that it's gonna be consistent for you, that you're gonna be able to do it for a long period of time. Somebody that might be a stay-at-home mom that has a lot of downtime if kids are napping and stuff, you might be able to work on Etsy like at least for an hour or 2 a day. So maybe like 2 listings a week would be possible. But if you work outside of the house for 40+ hours a week and you only have a couple hours on Saturdays to get stuff done, then pushing yourself to do 1 listing a day is not going to work. And part of why this should be regular as soon as you open your shop is that Etsy rewards new shops and also new listings. So what happens when you are a new shop and you post a new listing and/or post a new listing? Like, old shops kind of get a boost from new listings as well. But the algorithm is taking a little bit to figure out exactly where that listing fits and what it is, because it's not a person looking at the listing, right? So it's going to move it around a bit, test the different keywords to see where it fits the best and where it gets the most response from buyers. And in order to do that, it's going to have to put that listing kind of toward the top of the search results so that more people are likely to see it. Nobody really knows exactly how long that boost period is, but just however long it takes for Etsy to figure that out. If there is a lot of traffic for your keywords or a lot of search volume, it could be pretty quick. Or if there is a low volume, or maybe your SEO is not great, it could take a while. Same thing goes for when you first open your shop. Those first few listings are going to be pushed higher for a little bit, just because they're trying to figure out where you fit and what kinds of people would be interested in those products. And obviously Etsy only wants to push the listings that they know people are going to like, right? So that's why you need to tell it exactly what the item is and describe it in detail in the description box. Have your title and your tags accurate to the actual product and not something trendy or similar but not exact, because you want those to be accurate so people buy them. What I mean by that is I see very, very often that new shops will either add not quite accurate keywords or tags that they think are going to get a lot of traffic, and that's probably not the best thing. You want the title and the tags and everything to be as specific and accurate as possible for your specific item. You don't want to be too general, because the problem with that, especially at the beginning when the algorithm is trying to figure out where to put your listing or who to show it to, somebody is doing a search or they're interested in a certain topic, and you may have that tag or that keyword in your listing, but that's not exactly what the person was looking for. So they are not going to click on it, or if they click on it, they're not going to buy it because it is not what they were looking for, which makes the algorithm think that that is not a good listing or something is wrong with it, that people don't want to buy it. And if this happens right away, which it probably will, then your listing is not going to get any sales. It's not going to go anywhere. That is why I would avoid those high volume tags, which are going to be your like gift for her or stocking stuffer and things like that. So getting back on track, how many listings should you have or should you strive for? Again, there is no set specific amount, but you just want to build up to as many good listings as you can. I'll talk about how to be more efficient at making new listings here in a minute, but as you post more and you get better at taking photos and doing your keywords and all that stuff, you also want to keep track of your listings and how they're performing over time instead of just throwing them out there and never looking at them again. The best way that I could think of to explain this would be another loose analogy, but think of your Etsy shop as your garden, and your products are the plants or vegetables, whatever you put in a garden. But when you plant a garden, do you just dig some holes and throw seeds in there and hope for the best? No. You've got to water them and check them for pests and weeds and remove the rotten ones. I haven't done this myself in like the past 6 months in my shop. I usually try to keep a rolling, like just a few listings a day. If stuff is about to expire, try to update it a little bit, freshen it up, and that usually helps. But just as an example of what I've been doing, so I have a particular kind of product in my shop that I have kind of inconsistent photos of. So some of them I took just on a plain white, like on my table, and some of them I like held the thing in my hand, like with an actual brick wall as a background in natural sunlight. And I noticed, or at least I thought, I have like 40 of this kind of item in different colors and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. Kind of like those pictures with the brick background look better, but I want to see if they actually affected how many sales they got. And holy cow, I don't know why I didn't figure this out sooner, but so I have 3 different kinds of photos. The brick background, then I have a plain white background, and then a few of them I tested out the plain white background with text that like just one word about the product. And I have heard that text isn't great for listing photos, but sometimes it can be. But I have noticed that the cropping is bad. Like if these photos show up as a square, that text is going to be cut off. So that's probably why those are going to be not doing so good. But I made a spreadsheet and listed each item and what kind of background it had and how many sales versus renewals. Not gonna lie, some of them have 0 sales and 6 renewals. Although I have sold like at least a few of each one through a bundle or through my website instead of Etsy. But I found some pretty interesting and motivating results from that. So I took the spreadsheet and did an average amount of sales for each kind of background. So the ones with the white background with the text on it had an average of 1 sale each. The ones with the plain white background with no text had an average of 3 sales each. And the ones with the brick background had an average of 8 sales each, with some of them having like 30. So yeah, I need to fix those photos. And that's probably one of my lower selling categories, and it is a lower dollar item as well. But my highest selling category, I don't even really have to worry about. Like, I have updated the photos over the years. I don't need to touch the SEO and stuff like that because they have really good sales history anyways. And I've been doing this full time for like 3.5 years. Yeah, 3.5 years now. It's still like you still have to constantly improve things. You can't just leave it. Quite a few people, maybe even you, found my YouTube channel through a video I did a couple years ago about the 1 listing a day thing. There's a common mantra or guideline going around. I don't know if it's still much of a thing. I don't consume as much content as I used to, but basically the guideline is that you need to post 1 listing a day and like a bare minimum of 100 listings to even have the chance of being successful. And why people say this, I agree with the sentiment behind it, but the numbers are arbitrary. Posting any number of listings on a consistent, regular basis and the process of going through and getting the experience of making a 100 or however many large number of listings is a way to build a routine and just get more experience and learn things. Not just for the sake of sales and your performance on Etsy, but you also learn a lot about your craft in that process as well. Treat it like a job. Don't just show up whenever and do stuff here and there and expect consistent results. Actually treating your Etsy shop like a job when you want it to be your full-time or even part-time job is overlooked by a lot of sellers. If you start getting sales overnight or you post a new listing that starts doing well, but you only have like $200 worth of inventory in your store or just a few products because you didn't want to put the time or effort into it because you weren't getting money for it, then how do you expect to make this your full-time job and make $4,000 a month? Somebody needs to hear this out there, and hopefully it's not you, but somebody. How do you expect to make 1 sale a day from your Etsy shop if you have less than 30 total items listed and you haven't touched it or made any new listings at all in the last month? Like how is that going to happen? Are you going to just magically turn around and pull this motivation out of your butt? Something else like kind of unrelated that is overlooked in the same vein is if you want to make a certain dollar amount per month to replace a part-time or full-time job or do whatever, let's say that number is $1,000 just to keep the math easy, and your items are less than $10, we'll say they're $10 just to, again, make it even. Just in net sales, you would have to sell 100 items per month to get to $1,000. That's not including Etsy fees and your supplies and packaging and all that stuff, right? So you're looking at like $3 profit, 3 to 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky, dollars profit off of a $10 item. So that's gonna be 200 items. So can you make, list, package, and ship 200 of this item every single month? That's like 50 per week? No, the answer is no. What I'm getting at is you have to work towards it. You have to keep going, like keep improving and making more stuff, because you can't just go 0 to 60, right? You have to keep building up to that. If you're starting a business, or even like sometimes in the middle of when your business is running, you have to work without getting paid, whether that's on Etsy or not. Welcome to the club. So while you're building up your listings and growing your business, trying to get it off the ground, you want to be strategic about the kinds of things that you are listing. Throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks is not a recommended method of building a sustainable, successful business. We've done a previous episode about how to identify your niche and your target audience. Once you have your first set of products launched or published on Etsy, find related things that somebody would want to buy at the same time as your products or to go along with them. I think a lot of people get stuck in making like more variations of the same product, thinking that's their niche. But you can have multiple different types of products and still be in the same niche. Like your niche is you, it's not your product. They can be directly related, like the same kind of item, but think more of general categories. Think about why grocery stores or Target, Walmart, whatever other places are organized into aisles. Each aisle is going to have a kind of theme or like related things. So in the grocery store, you're going to have the breakfast aisle that has the cereal and oatmeal and granola. And there's like the coffee aisle that also has tea and filters and like syrups and creamer and stuff like that. So think of it like that. If somebody is looking at your product, what else would they buy at the same time or to go along with that? Because the goal with this is to help people buy more from you and increase your average order value. Something that can be a game changer for your business in terms of higher sales and better profit is bundles or gift sets. Many, many, many gifts are purchased on Etsy for basically any occasion ever. And from my experience, a lot of times the customer is going to just have you ship the item directly to the person that's receiving the gift, even if they don't ask for gift wrapping. So if you have giftable products, make it as easy as possible for a customer to select a bundle of these products to send to their loved one or whoever they're giving a gift to. You could even do samplers of different products that you have, so they don't have to be all the same thing in like different scents, different colors. They can be like one of each item that you have. I promise you will make a higher profit this way, even if you offer them at a discount, which you should offer a slight discount for bundles. For example, if you have a bundle of 4 different things, you only have to pay for 1 box or mailer instead of 4. There's only 1 business card or order insert, only 1 shipping charge if they qualify for free shipping, and the fees actually work out to be lower per item as well. So if you listed those 4 individual items, you would pay the 20-cent listing fee 4 times. But if you sell those 4 items as 1 bundle, you only pay 20 cents 1 time. And there's part of the payment fee that is a flat 25 cents. Even though there are percentages in the fees, you still only pay that 125 cents once. So I promise, do the math. It's gonna be cheaper even if you offer like a 10% discount. I'm not gonna lie, the listing process is my least favorite of all of the things that I have to do for my business. Actually, my favorite thing is packing orders more so than actually making stuff, which is probably pretty uncommon. But I'm sure I'm not alone in the dislike of actually making listings. In fact, I'm pretty sure every single one of my review clients has specifically told me this. That they don't want to do the listings, they just want to make the stuff, which I understand. So here's how to make that suck a bit less. You want to create systems or formulas, routines, and do everything in batches. So if you're trying to do one listing a day and you take each day, you make the item and then you take the photos and then you do the listing, that's going to take so much time to do it that way. So if you just pick one day, make all the products, and then if you don't have time that day, the next day, take all the photos and then do all the listings and just save them as drafts so you can post them later. A lot of new sellers without photography experience have a lot of trouble getting their photos to be consistent. So if you have the space, dedicate one area to photos that you can leave like set up. So it doesn't have to be like a whole room, you know, just like a small portion of a table or something with a backdrop, preferably near a window so you can get good natural lighting. But that way you don't have to move stuff around or like move stuff off the table every time you need to take photos, which is going to be pretty often. And by systems or templates, I just mean have a step-by-step process for yourself. For each kind of item that you sell, make a list at least mentally, but I would recommend actually writing it down of exactly which kinds of photos, like which shots you want to take of each item. So you have your main photo that's going to show up first, that you want to look nice. You want to have some kind of a stylized photo, something that will show a size reference, basically all the things that Etsy tells you to do on the listing page. And then just get specific to your item. So show the front, the back, a close-up, or a certain angle. I have been known to batch create my photos of like 10 plus items and just completely forget one of the steps for at least one of the listings. So keep that list with you as you do the photos. And then before you do anything else, like before you turn the lights off or transfer the photos to your computer, go back through and make sure that you have all of the shots and you didn't have one that came out blurry or something. So you can redo it right then instead of saying screw it and not having that photo for that listing. And then after you have the photos, edit and crop them all at the same time. This way you can open them up on your computer, whatever program that you use to edit them. You can see them all at the same time so you can see if the lighting and the cropping is consistent. And then now for like actually writing the listings, you can create formulas and things for your title and tags and an outline for your description. For the title, it depends on what the product is and how much you can say about it. But the gist of a formula for your title would be like the most important keyword, like what the item actually is, and then what color it is, or what kind of design, and then any other important information. The first part of the title, I believe it's the first 30 characters or so, should be the most important keyword, like definitively what this item is without any description. So if you pretend that this is not a Vans t-shirt and I'm just selling a yellow t-shirt, the first part of my title would be women's t-shirt, because that's what this item is, right? That is where the algorithm looks to categorize your listing, the very first part of your title. And that's what the customer sees, because most of the title is going to get cut off in the search. So that's going to tell the customer like quickly, if they can't tell just by looking at the photo, they can read the title and see exactly what the item is. So you start with the kind of thing and then put any qualifiers or quantifiers, basically just describing the product. Don't put any broad keywords in the title like gift for her, stocking stuffer, like I was kind of talking about earlier. Titles should be readable by a human and not just an overt attempt to stuff as many keywords as possible. It is a waste of space to repeat things, like if I put women's t-shirt, yellow women's shirt, yellow shirt with pocket. No, just yellow women's t-shirt with pocket is sufficient. Then you can use that formula to help with your other titles. So once you've figured out a formula that works for your specific products, because you may sell something like candles that have a scent and a color that should be included in the title, whereas that doesn't really apply to a t-shirt. Then for your tags, they should still be specific to your item, but give Etsy a bit more clues than the title does. Because customers can't see your tags, so they don't like really have to make sense to read like a title. A common mistake with tags I see almost every day is stuffing the same keywords in there forward, backwards, and upside down. That is not necessary. Beyond the first part of your title, like your, what I call your focus keyword, I don't know if that's an official term, like your women's t-shirt, for example, that should be in your tags exactly like that and in the first part of your description. But beyond that, it does not matter what order the words are in, and you don't have to repeat them. Repeating your keywords in the tags just wastes space, really, when you could be using more specific words. Because the algorithm knows that people may phrase things differently or may put words in a different order, just that focus keyword is going to be what's called an exact match. So by repeating that one, it's telling Etsy definitively, or at least giving it a good signal that this is what this item is, and this is where you should categorize it. Even though you have a category in your attributes, which by the way, I kind of skip over attributes, but hopefully you know to fill all of those out as they are applicable, because that does help a lot. And by attributes, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean where when you fill out your listing and you put the category, and then once you pick a category, it pops up with different things like the color or the size or the materials or the occasion, stuff like that. Just make sure you read the descriptions of those and see if they're applicable for your listing. Once you create a listing and have all that stuff filled out, so your title, your attributes, your tags, your description, even the shipping information, just copy that listing. Don't create a brand new listing each time. That is going to take forever. Like, it might take you an hour to fill out a listing when it could take you like 5 to 10 minutes to upload the photos and then change like the color or certain details about that listing. Now by copy, if you did not know this, hopefully you did, you can click on a listing, that little gear on the bottom right for the options, and you can copy from there. That does not mess up your search ranking or affect the original listing whatsoever. All it does is save you time by just making a copy of the things you filled out in that listing. Just don't forget, I see this so often when I'm shopping. People have obviously copied a listing and then forgotten to change parts of the description because there's stuff in there that does not relate to the item at all. So make sure you go through that and do it thoroughly. And then you can create a description template that you can save like in a Word document or a Google Doc or something that you can fill in about specific items, but some things in your description template should be the same across all of your listings. So you can copy those over and over and then just fill in the details. And then once you have the description template for like a specific kind of item, then you can copy it from your Etsy listings. Also to note, descriptions are important for SEO now, not for SEO necessarily, but giving Etsy context. So the algorithm now is pulling information from your description about the product and relating that to the customer. So if there's certain things in your description that certain customers are going to gravitate towards, then that's going to help the recommendation system. So even if a customer never searches for that specific item, they could still find it and be recommended it if they have bought previously similar or from similar shops based on your description. If you want the description template or outline that I use for my shop and also that works for basically every shop that I have seen implement it, it really helps increase your conversions by answering people's questions and giving them a chance to connect with you. I have an entire video about how to create a description outline or template for your specific shop, so I will link to that in the description box. Thanks for hanging in there with me for this series. There's just 3 more episodes to go, and I will see you in the next one.